The invisible people behind the lettings industry. Today I'm joined by Siân Hemming Metcalfe, and she's here to talk about the hidden industry that's behind the lettings industry. What is this infrastructure? Talk to me, Siân.
So the infrastructure is suppliers, and I talk about suppliers all the time on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and at regionals with Property Market, etc. But it's wider than just inventory providers. I'm talking EPC assessors, gas safety, cleaners, contractors, anybody that actually supplies the industry. And even though we don't actually have any like concrete data, if you just look at how many agents there are, if you look at how many actual properties there are in the PRS, about 4.7 million. And then if you look at the actual turnover, you're effectively engaging all of those suppliers at different times of obviously the tenancy. And because of that, I worked out that we could be looking at anything like 10 million different areas of bodies of work every single year for the private rental sector. So that's a huge amount. And when you think about it, it's like, yes, that happens, but do we give it any thought? So that's why it's hidden. That's why it's not really in everybody's thoughts, but it definitely is working there in the background.
You said before you switch the cameras on, they're not recognised. What could letting agents be doing to recognise them? And why should they recognise them?
So agents don't recognise suppliers purely because they're there. They exist. They do the work. They carry out
Yes,
the
we pay you
jobs.
money. We pay you money.
Yeah, it's a service.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called a service. But I think that suppliers are more than a service. They don't just kind of come in, do the job and walk away. 9 times out of 10, those provisions, those contracts are talking to the agents, they're talking to the landlords, they're talking to the tenants. So all of a sudden that service actually becomes more of a partnership, but it's never recognised as such. Now, for me, it makes sense to literally work with your suppliers as a partnership, talk to each other, engage, make sure they understand what's going on both in the industry but also in the actual agents themselves, so they can got a better understanding of what the agents not only need from a service provision, but how else they can actually help with their actual role itself.
Do you think it's the responsibility of suppliers to build the relationship or start the relationship on as opposed to I give you money, you give me a service, or is it incumbent on the letting agents to do this?
I think it's both. I think suppliers already do that to a great degree, and some agents do it to a great degree. Some of them I talk to have really good relationships with their suppliers. They know who they are on a personal basis. I don't mean they go into their own homes and share drinks, etc. But they know them from a name purpose. They know them from obviously their company, but they know a little bit about them. What they like, what they don't like, whether they're going on holiday, etc. So there is a point where the agents actually know them a little bit better than just someone who walks in, grabs the keys, goes and does the job and then brings the keys back.
I mean, what would you say to, is it a case of like, come on, we'll take you down the pub on a Thursday night?
No, I don't think anybody really
Oh.
wants that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great to have a drink, and it's great to be included. And certainly, with my own business, before I worked with inventory based, and one of the things I used to do on an annual basis was take cakes and sweets and presents in at Christmas time, and also invite them to Christmas do. So yes, you can have a relationship to a degree, but it also depends on how big you are. Obviously, the cost element, you've still got to factor that in. But I think agents do enjoy that kind of knowing their suppliers and understanding who they are, and having a relationship, because you get more out of it. You're more likely to see a supplier be more flexible if you need something urgently than someone maybe who you don't engage with, you don't know their name, and to be honest with you, you don't pay them any attention or give them the time of day.
Okay, so that's what suppliers can do. What can agents do to help build the relationship with their suppliers?
I think they can talk to them more, understand their business, what it is that they actually do, because often supply relationships are very much surface level. They provide a service and that's it. But when they actually dig a little bit deeper, they'll understand actually they do so much more and they know so much more. So if they can actually just get to know them and ask them, what other services do you do? Where else do you work? What do you know about the industry? Just ask them those kind of questions and get a conversation going. That way the supplier is more willing to then get involved, and that's where the relationship builds. It's no different to any other kind of relationship. You're just sharing information, you're communicating, but on a level more of a partnership, though just as a service provider. You don't want just a case of, oh, I'll give you the pleasantries and pass the time of day with you, but that's it. That's service level. You want to go a little bit deeper, and you'll get so much more out of your service provider by doing that.
Thank you for your time today, Sean.
Thank you.